What we've been quoting is $50 per specimen. I think some people are doing more, some slightly less.
50 was like 12 years ago.
So the intestines right here. See?
Yeah.
This comes out, like I said, the organs come out really, really well.
Right.
All the intestines
Right.
pretty much almost like
What would you expect for
Yes.
Do you ever see thymus?
intact?
In this case is really important. Whenever we do like the 20, 22 weekers we do.
Between 15 and 20 weeks, your baby will more than double in size. As his body grows, his nervous system is rapidly maturing. His nerves are connecting his brain to the rest of his body, traveling from the brain through the brainstem and down the spine, and beginning to extend into his torso and limbs. Your baby's skeleton is changing too. The soft cartilage is starting to harden into bone. This happens first in the arms and legs. Sensory development is picking up speed. Your baby's brain is designating special areas for smell, taste, hearing, vision, and touch. At this stage, your baby may be able to hear your heartbeat and voice, so read aloud or sing a happy tune. Your baby may even be sucking his thumb now. At about 18 weeks, you'll start to experience one of the most exciting parts of pregnancy, feeling your baby's movements. His flexing arms and legs may feel like gentle flutters at first. They'll become even stronger and more frequent in the weeks ahead.
That's a good question. I don't. Everybody that is here does.
And really, specifically the later than 16-week cases, I guess.
I want to say that we have 6.
6 providers that go beyond 16 weeks. Oh wow.
I want you to be paid per specimen, and rather than, oh, here, just ship this off. No, this is what we're looking for, and if you can do that and it compensates you and financially that's helping you to grow your clinic, I'm willing to do that.
Yeah, and so if we alter our process and we are able to obtain intact fetal cadavers, then we can make it part of the budget that any dissections are this, and splitting the specimens into different shipments is this. I mean, it's all just a matter of line items.
And so what are they? Are they requesting just liver or liver thymus? Liver thymus longa?
Everything. CNS, brain, kidney, thymus, liver, spleen, femur, bone marrow, hematopoietic stem cells from 14 to 22 weeks of gestation.
They're going to engraft all of those or just the hematopoietic? Purpose and objectives.
And they want it up to 22 weeks.
Yeah, including CNS, brain. Wow, they want everything. See, so that's the thing. So for a study like that, if we could provide, just a whole cadaver, and then they can take exactly what they want with the full quality, and everything, that is actually going to be ideal for them.
Well, it would make me very happy for us to finish up what we need to do, and I can put you in contact with them.
And their range ranges 14 to 22 weeks is what they're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, and I was wrong. They want 120.
120. This is huge.
That would be $100 per specimen. 50 specimens per day would be $5,000 per day that Planned Parenthood was collecting from fetal tissue. Extrapolate that, $120,000 per month. That is certainly not recouping costs.
Are there any fresh specimens from today that we can still look at, or?
We had a really long day and they're all mixed up together in a bag. Yet if I would have known 10 minutes ago, I would have saved something.
Yeah.
You know what, if we could get if we could just, if that doesn't, I mean, it's not like we need something today, but if we could get a visual today of it, that would be a good thing. Is that possible?
Yeah, let me see.
Mainly,
That one's probably frozen.
what we're looking for is like a visual baseline of like intactness and everything, and what's that, just so that we know like,
intact they are.
Right.
Yeah, they
so like on a typical day, like kind of what that looks like, and then
And it
what sort
varies
of.
like based on gestation. Sometimes they come out really attacked. Do you want to do?
You're not gonna see nothing intact today, because the way we collect the tissue, it
Yeah.
all gets collected into one container.
We either, you know what? Is it cremation?
What was the latest case that you did today?
The latest case we did today was a 5 week and 3 days.
No.
Oh,
OR, the
20.
OR.
It was a 20. Oh, I know what you mean.
Right.
20 station age. And that was one of the very first ones. So I'm assuming that one could almost be frozen.
So we're oftentimes looking for liver and thymus are two of the most in demand.
Yes.
Excellent.
All right.
See on this. Sean, can you help me out? I don't. So I think this is lung, right? I don't
Yes,
think this is
that's correct.
kidney. Yeah, these are lungs because
That's
that's the trachea in the middle
Yes.
there.
These are. So the intestines right here. Right here. See?
Yeah.
This comes out, like I said, the organs come out really, really well because you can
Right.
see all the intestines
Right.
pretty much almost like
And this is a
intact.
big placenta right here.
Yes.
Do you ever see thymus?
In this case is really important. Whenever we do like the 20, 22 weekers we do, you get a lot better.
But it's difficult to find thymus at this gestation.
Yeah.
What is the age of this?
This is
This patient was like 18 weeks.
is this this is limb. Okay,
Yeah.
and this is like scapula.
Yeah.
That-
The other thing that plays a tremendous part in this is the dilation
Exactly.
that you've obtained.
Exactly.
And also how, for lack of a better word, how cooperative the patient is during the procedure.
Oh, really? Are they under conscious sedation? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
There's conscious sedation, but there's also times where it's just not. You've pretty much maxed out, and there's tolerance.
Oh.
Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult.
Mhm.
To completely relax. Sometimes it's a lot easier to not do so many passes in the forceps. So it just really varies. And like I said, a lot of it does depend on the dilation that was obtained. And like all of our procedures over 20 weeks actually go through a 2-stage dilation process. So usually like the cervix is, like for this procedure, cervix easily like at 3 centimeters. What we do in the OR is that we lay them out to account for everything before it kind of gets put back in the basin and just like sealed up and packaged up. Because we actually do a lot of collections for sexual assault cases. Kind of, but with that it's different. It's like some placenta and a long bone. But it's still very, it's very cleaned up. So it's different than this as well. So.
These orbits are good too, and at this stage you start to get the retinal pigment epithelium,
Yes.
which is in the back, which is you've collected that before.
So all the orbits are so easy, like 95% of the
They're easy to find too, even in the early gestation, because you're just looking for
they
the.
come out like firmer a month, I feel, because it whittles down some.
Is that a viable number for you?
How many per month? Or the gestational age, 14 to 16, or
No, 40 from like 16 to 22.
There's how many per- yeah.
40 to 50 easy.
per month?
Yeah. Given Planning Fellowship at Columbia, the active researcher. So she's very well versed in what she needs to do.
To just change up just a little bit. Okay.
They've already talked with UPFA, done Epitola and the whole group up there, and because fetal tissue donation varies so much state by state, UPFA is moving away from a standardized policy.
Yeah, so because I attended the patient service
Yeah.
day, and Kristen Flood did talk about fetal collection and stuff like that. So yeah.
Huh, very interesting. Remember when I first got here and it was, you have to have this form, it has to be like this.
We had to have this particular consent form, very specific, but yeah, no, that's what Kristen was saying.
Interesting.
So they're encouraging more participation, but they don't want to get too, does that make sense?
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, cool. And any idea why the other affiliates in Texas think it's illegal?
Planned Parenthood makes zero profit on any fetal tissue donations.
You are reimbursed for what costs?
Simply costs of preservation, transfer,
Two companies that sold aborted baby parts for Planned Parenthood forced to close down. Published December 9, 2017. Washington, D.C. The companies had faced a lawsuit accusing them of illegally selling parts of aborted babies' brains for as much as $1,100 from 2009 to 2015 to pharmaceutical companies and academic institutions in Japan, China, Singapore, South Korea, Germany, Switzerland, Australia, the Netherlands, Canada, and the United Kingdom. The suit alleged that DaVinci Biosciences and its sister company DV Biologics sold hundreds of fetal tissue products, aborted babies' body parts, and stem cells to research facilities for a profit. This opinion addresses the licitness, quasi-benefits, and consequences of using aborted fetal tissue in vaccines and in medical research. The Catholic Church permits temporary use of vaccines generated using aborted fetal tissue to protect children from preventable diseases until alternative vaccines that do not use aborted fetal tissue are available.
Good morning. Thank you for coming. Today, the Orange County District Attorney's Office filed a 21-page civil complaint alleging unlawful and unfair business practices against DV Biologics, DaVinci Biosciences, Andres Izais, Estefano Izais. Those are the defendants.
Imagine this organization calls itself a healthcare provider, but it's not involved in preserving life, it's involved in ending it. And imagine that you help finance this organization, whether you want to or not. Well, you don't have to imagine. This organization exists, and it has a name with which you are very familiar. It calls itself Planned Parenthood, and the deception begins right there. Planned Parenthood doesn't help people plan for parenthood, it helps people escape it. And that's only the start of its deceptions. Planned Parenthood tells you it's one of the nation's leading women's healthcare providers, but it provides very little healthcare. It tells you it provides adoption referrals, but the only adoption advice it is likely to offer is Google it. Most deceptive of all, Planned Parenthood tells you that abortions are a small part of what it does, but it performs more abortions than anyone else in America. Here are the facts. The folks who run Planned Parenthood boast that they provide life-saving cancer screenings. And they do, just not that many of them, less than 2% of the nation's screenings each year. They talk about providing breast exams. They do, but just not that many of them, again, less than 2% of the nation's total. They talk about providing ultrasounds, but the last thing they want to do is show a pregnant woman an image of her growing child. So they don't. The ultrasound is only for Planned Parenthood's use, to better facilitate patients' abortions. In other words, abortion, not women's health, is Planned Parenthood's reason for being. Every year, it does more than a third of all abortions in America, over 321,000 of them. That's equivalent to every inhabitant of St. Louis or Pittsburgh wiped out every year. That's over 880 abortions every day, an abortion every 98 seconds. And while the number of total abortions in the United States is going down, Planned Parenthood's market share of abortions has increased from 23% in 2006 to 34% in 2016. So when Planned Parenthood says it's devoted to women's reproductive rights, what it means is it's devoted to aborting as many babies as possible. And here's the biggest deception of them all. Planned Parenthood would like you to believe that abortion is only 3% of the total services they provide. 3% doesn't sound like very much, does it? But here's how they get to that 3%. They count every discrete clinical interaction as its own service. What is a discrete clinical interaction? Pretty much anything you do from the moment you walk into one of their clinics. I'll give you an example. Let's say a woman comes into Planned Parenthood for one service, an abortion. Before providing an abortion, Planned Parenthood has to confirm that the woman is pregnant, right? So they administer another service, a pregnancy test. That's 2 services. Then, after the abortion, on your way out the door, they hand you a prescription. That's 3 services. And there are many other services provided during the abortion process that Planned Parenthood claims as discrete clinical interactions. In this way, Planned Parenthood is able to rack up 9.5 million of these so-called services each year. Divide the number of abortions, 321,000, by 9.5 million, and you get 3%. Even the Washington Post, a Planned Parenthood ally, declared this 3% figure very misleading. Rich Lowry of National Review nicely illustrated this phony statistic. It would be like Major League Baseball saying they sell 20 million hot dogs, but only play 2,430 games, so baseball is only 0.012% of what they do. So why does Planned Parenthood engage in all these deceptions? Well, as they say, follow the money. According to federal law, the United States government is not permitted to spend taxpayer money on abortions. But Planned Parenthood receives over $500 million a year in federal funding. Not for abortions, mind you, but for those other discrete clinical interactions. Over the last 10 years, its annual clientele has dropped 23%, almost a quarter. But during this time, its taxpayer funding has skyrocketed from $336 million in 2006 to $543 million in 2016. The reality is, just about everything about Planned Parenthood is a deception. Its purpose, its funding, its very name.
That's according to a new
That's why Planned Parenthood's biggest enemy isn't conservatives or religious people. Its biggest enemy is truth.
We're going to tell you what they have to say. Joining us now, former Planned Parenthood Clinic Director Abby Johnson, who has since become a pro-life advocate. Abby, good to have you with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
I want to talk about some of what is alleged in the New York Times report. It says this: at Planned Parenthood, the country's leading provider of reproductive services, managers in some locations decline to hire pregnant job candidates, refuse requests by expecting mothers to take breaks, and in some cases push them out of their jobs after they gave birth. They say that's according to current and former employees. Most Planned Parenthood offices do not provide paid maternity leave, though many let new mothers take partially paid disability leave. Having been a clinic director yourself, what do you make of the accusations?
Yeah, I was actually contacted by these 2 New York Times reporters asking me about my experiences with Planned Parenthood and as a woman who actually had a baby when I worked at Planned Parenthood, just to talk about what their policies were, what the maternity leave was, and it was all a little bit laughable because there is no maternity or paternal leave policy for Planned Parenthood employees. And that's not surprising. Planned Parenthood is not an organization that values mothers, women, or children. So of course they're not going to put forward policies that would actually protect women during that vulnerable time after childbirth.
Well, there are a lot of the individual Planned Parenthood officials, whether they were local or regional, that they talked to have denied any of these things.
Yeah, I'm going to be having an abortion tomorrow morning.
What I need you to do is raise up the back of your gown. Okay. Now let's see right there, the edge of the table. Okay. Like the whole time doing a procedure for you. And the whole, you here.
I just want to share my story. To show women that there is such thing as a positive abortion story. Cool. Feel good. I'm done! Yay!
Ready?
Yeah.
Alright,
It is about a month and a half after the procedure now. I feel like I talk to women all the time and they're like, of course everyone feels bad about this. Of course everyone's gonna feel guilty, as if it's a given how people should feel about this, that what they're doing is wrong. I don't feel like a bad person. I don't feel sad. I feel in awe of the fact that I can make a baby. then I'm